imagine that this is what I'm talking about.
I just want to get going, that's all, so.
And I'm not sure if they're gonna.
We got a horse and
They're not
buggy.
sure they're done, so hold on.
Okay, so let's move forward with it.
There's a public hearing. But
Al,
I think they're
are you
done.
leaving or what?
Yes, for a second.
He's going to see a man about a
Very good. So, you have all that other stuff to sign, right?
Fine.
Okay.
Can't go here for you, until further notice.
Yeah, you couldn't make it tonight.
Yeah.
How they doing?
Peter doesn't have to be here.
This one?
He's just in this.
I was just going.
So what are we doing? You can hang, he's gonna be in public.
No,
What are we
it's
doing?
not very
Probably
nice.
waiting for Al to return now.
Get a sweater. I can't legally take any more off, okay? You can put more on. Put jeans on and a sweater.
Linda did it.
I did not, I didn't touch it.
Oh, no?
No.
I say walk over.
If you
I
did it,
just
Linda,
looked at it.
thank you.
Just looked
Because
at it.
it's always hot in here. Thank you if you did it.
Oh, yes. Because actually,
It's
Jim, if I
nice
did,
in
I
here.
would have turned it up, because it's always too cold in here.
It was cold the entire day. I was in here at 12, 11
Feels
o'clock.
like a
Put a sweater on. Put a sweatshirt on.
Linda, they said they were gonna have a meeting in 2 weeks. Is there a planning board meeting that night?
Yes, there is.
Oh, and now they're gonna have a meeting.
I don't know, but they've never formally motioned to set that meeting, so.
Right, okay.
Guys, we do have a planning board meeting that's coming up, I think it's on the 24th. Can we have our meeting after we're still in open session here?
We're waiting for.
I understand, but hold on a second. Can we, I'm gonna be unavailable the week of the 15th, so we're gonna have to go over to the week of the 22nd. I'm going to say we can either do Monday, we could do Tuesday, but we cannot do Wednesday. We have a planning board meeting.
And you can't do Tuesday because the court has that highlighted.
Are they not meeting on the 30th? Oh, I'm sorry, that's the 4th Tuesday. Wait a minute, we're not meeting on the, aren't they the 4th Monday?
Yeah, but for some reason she's highlighted the 23rd, not the 22nd, so I'm not gonna overrule Tony. 7.
I have no idea. This meeting doing bad.
We could do this meeting at 5.
We already discussed
Oh,
something.
yeah.
I like it. Let's do it all.
Formalize the personnel policy we kind of tabled tonight. We're gonna have the camera issue. We're gonna have perhaps another executive issue. Got a couple things that we'll be doing that night
Other executive issue.
pertaining to the fire company.
Why don't we just,
You can't do anything till you send the resolution.
I'm working,
Working so hard to get that
I'm
involved.
working.
Plow the driveway.
see you next month.
Plow the driveway.
All right, now what are we doing? All right,
Come soon.
moving forward here, Judd, you had brought something to my attention last year, sometime on or about in the time frame of Thanksgiving.
Wait a minute, you want to be heard close.
No, I'll go with open because then it's gonna be way too long. I gotta get up and go to work tomorrow, so I gotta.
This will be probably brief. You had said something to me that there was some threats that were made against you. Is that true? Can you tell me specifically what that threat was?
And why it was, who it was from and all, or not?
Yeah, this is fact finding here, we need to
Okay,
figure out what we're doing.
I got a phone call from Public Works Foreman Peter Siderman. It was upset over health, an issue with health bill and not being able to get health insurance. And some conversations started to tell me, if I can recollect now, it's been a long time, as to his dissatisfaction about going to the doctor or the hospital, one or the other, because he was sick and they would not take his credit card and he did not have health insurance yet. So he says, I wish death upon your family. And I said, what? I wasn't concerned. First I wasn't for sure what I heard, and then he repeated it. And then the conversation went off from there. I reported the incident to you as the finance person, and I reported to Mr. Hughes as, I believe Larry was on the finance or something, but I did report it to both of you guys as
gonna tell me about that. First time I heard it from him.
Okay, but then I talked to you about,
Later on.
Yeah, later on, right.
That came from the mayor.
yeah, okay.
Okay, so, is there a reason, what was the issue with the insurance?
It was
if I
issued
may
because
ask?
he didn't have his health insurance yet, because it was on hold, because
And why was it on hold?
it was a misunderstanding between myself and Mr. Hughes in regards to, he had filled out an application, it was for medical and prescription. And at the time, the personnel policy did not say that a full-time employee was entitled to prescription and I think also dental. So the application was held, it was a misunderstanding on my part. I explained that to Mr. Hughes, and once I talked to Larry about it, the next day after the incident, I called the estate and was able to instate him over the telephone. I got lucky with the state, because normally that takes a process, but the information was already filled out. I'm not for sure if Linda faxed it up to the state for me, or I had a copy of it, but that's fine.
And my memory serves me, that was taken care of within 2 days.
Yes, it was taken care of quite quick, so that was the crux of the whole thing.
Okay, so, essentially you're telling me that you received threats that were made against you and your family,
Well, it was a comment that was made.
and it was repeated twice, so there was no mistake about understanding what you heard. Is that what you
Well,
said
I
moments
asked to
ago?
clarify because I wasn't sure what I heard.
Okay. And this took place in sometime on or about at the end of November, in which I'm going to assume that the Public Works employee was still under probation at the time.
I don't know.
Well, he was appointed and he had a 90-day probationary period, if my understanding is correct, according to our personnel policy. They're on probation for 90 days when you
Okay.
give them that appointment, and he was still under that probationary period. Okay. Do you have anything further pertaining to that incident? I think it's a very unfortunate incident that, you're just simply doing your job and you have to be threatened.
Well,
That's just completely unaccountable. It's unacceptable.
I listened to the conversation, and the conversation continued on, and things seemed to calm down at that time, so.
That's a terroristic threat. That's a terroristic threat. And I personally think we should have zero tolerance for that kind of nonsense. There's one other issue, we kind of touched base on it, but I want to get it out in the open officially as well. The issue is people going into your computer. That is without doubt totally unacceptable. Judge, you are licensed and bonded. If anything, ever, if someone goes into your computer, we had a comment that was made last month that perhaps maybe our overall system was hacked. But the reality is, you're responsible. I don't know how much money you've got exactly, but we have got still a considerable amount of money. And if somebody has a way of going into your computer and they're able to do something that shouldn't be done, that's very, very scary.
But that issue has
Right now,
was discussed earlier tonight, and as far as I'm concerned, it's been resolved because I made some changes to the password and whatnot, but
I have made it clear to you, and I will state it publicly, you are more than just welcome. You can have your office shared in my room, okay, so that you have your security, and nobody should be going into that room. But you make it very clear, I'd like to have a memo from you as well, but you need to make it clear, there's nobody permitted to use your computer, period. No one's authorized to go in there. And then there's another issue with someone rifling through your paperwork. That's an invasion of your privacy. That's unacceptable. That's not your fault, that's not something that you did, but you're a victim. This, you can't have that, John. There's no member of council, no employee, nobody from the public, there's nobody that's permitted to be going into your files, looking at that stuff. I'm not mad at you, I'm mad at the situation that it occurred. I'm deeply disturbed about it.
How do you expect people to know what the bill list is
Did-
about?
who gives you authorization, Al, to go into that man's files? You don't have that authorization.
Excuse me, I don't go into his files, they're on his desk.
You went through his desk, because it's my understanding
Not
you
through,
went through
not
it.
through his desk, no.
You went through his file, that's an invasion of his privacy. Who's to say that you don't mess with his records? Who's to say that you put something in or take something
Me,
out?
I say that.
Who's to say
The
that you don't
reason
take something
is,
out?
I need to know what these bills are for. Unlike,
Al, there's a gentlemanly way of asking, say, do you mind if I take a look? No, you just simply take it upon yourself because you're a sitting member of council, that you've got the authority to do that. You don't.
but when I get a bill list, don't I?
You don't have that authority to do that. And you know better.
No, I don't know better.
Imagine if one of your students did it when you're a teacher, and they went through your folders.
Do I have to vote on this bill list? Do I have to
You
vote
didn't
on
answer
this
my
bill
question.
list?
How about if one of your students did that to you? Would you like it?
Move on, this is just.
You don't do that, Al.
He's
It's
under an
unprofessional.
issue.
You have issued a rights notice to Mr. Seidelman. You wanted it discussed in public, and that's what we were doing.
And that's what we're doing.
No, Judge said he was doing his in public, so that's where we.
And that was part of the discussion as well.
I changed my mind because I see where I don't wanna be here after all these other discussions. So if they're not here, then I'm here,
So
I'll
now-
answer the
So now we are
questions.
talking about Judd.
We were talking about Judd, because Judd gave a verbal public. Because he didn't sign his form.
Then we have another issue that, being that Public Works is not here, I will discuss it. We had a situation here that occurred in December. At our December meeting, a resident said something under his breath, and I believe that I heard what he said. And he said, go ahead and put all your eggs in Larry's basket, because he'll be out of here, and you're next. At that point there was a wild outburst explosion from two people, one of them being Public Works. And there were threats that were made.
Absolutely
Okay,
not.
I,
You're
Absolutely
finished
not.
with
The
me.
man
Okay.
sat
Okay,
in
you're-
the chair.
I don't,
You're finished
Are
with
you done
me,
with-
Mayor?
you may leave.
This is ludicrous.
Thank you, Judge.
Yep, we'll see.
Let's just keep beating these horses to death for another
He's looking for an
18
issue.
years.
He's looking for
You're
an
telling me
issue.
that that didn't occur?
Not the way you're saying it.
What
didn't
occurred?
occur.
Let me hear what occurred, Larry. Tell me what happened.
I'm not gonna discuss it. It's something that took place months ago. It's over with.
We condoned it.
You condoned
I
it.
didn't condone
You
nothing.
sat here and grinned the whole
I
time.
didn't not grin. You listen to the tape. I'm beating the gavel saying, knock it off, take it outside. I wasn't grinning.
Look at the picture.
You were the grinning.
I was grinning.
Yeah, you were grinning. You want to blame me, I'll blame you. How's that sound?
I
How do you
got,
feel?
I got accused of being a drunk, a thief, and a dirty cop
I didn't
from
accuse you of that.
someone who I never had a conversation with, and you're saying I'm sitting here grinning? You're crazy.
I wasn't grinning about it, Larry. I wasn't happy.
Yes, you were.
But I can tell you right now, I saw it with my own eyes, and there was a number of people that all saw the same thing. And there was the threats that were made towards a resident. I'm surprised we haven't been hit with a tort claim notice on that yet.
He was drunk.
Who, the resident who started it?
He didn't start nothing. He was leaving the building,
Oh, okay.
and he was attacked.
Oh, yes.
Oh,
Oh, he wasn't. He wasn't, Larry. You're telling me he wasn't.
No,
Let's
he
move on, okay?
I think that some disciplinary action needs to be taken on that. There's no question in my mind, disciplinary action needs to be taken,
You have a
quite frankly.
vendetta here. that
No,
you
I don't
wanna
have no
see through to
vendetta.
the end,
I
no
just
matter what
simply-
means you can do to do it.
I think,
So let's just move on.
I think you have sour grapes. That's what your problem is. And you know it. We're here to protect our city from lawsuits, and when we condone activity from this happening, okay, we approve it and do nothing about it, we're part of the problem then.
yes, you are.
We are clearly part of the problem. That never should have happened. Disciplinary should have taken place. I've been on Fred's case about that for a long time. He never put the paperwork for me for it, nothing. It's not my responsibility to do that. I'm not the solicitor. I'm not the lawyer of this town. And yes, I've been agitated about it for a while, because it's been festering. We got a $10,000 labor bill. We should have never gotten to that point.
Talking about bills.
Somebody was still on probation, had a violent outburst that night, not to mention he also made a threat to somebody. My personal opinion is, I wanted to dismiss the man from his employment then. and I still think that I've got the ability to do that. He was under probation at the time, he did that, he's going through Judd's computer, this is all nonsense, Larry. And you're gonna tell me that it's okay?
You done?
'Cause he won't
It's
let
not
him
okay.
driveway.
You done?
'Cause he won't
You're
let him
condoning it,
driveway.
obviously by your demeanor and by your tone of what you're saying, are you done, are you done, get this over with, you condone it, correct? Do you think there should be some disciplinary action?
No.
No, of course
I
not.
don't think the man did anything wrong.
You don't think so?
No. And I'm not gonna sit here.
There was a
and
number of
debate this
residents
and
who all
open-
saw the same thing that would testify that they saw that.
I
And
was
it
here
seems to
and
be
I
that
saw
maybe you're the one that doesn't see it that way, because a resident made a comment to you because you allowed this to happen.
Well, how does the resident make a comment to me from a person who I've never had a conversation with, who never knew what I did for a living unless somebody told him?
Right.
Probably because he's been watching your actions here for the last several months and he's had enough of it.
So you agree,
So that
so he
makes it a
agrees
dirty
with,
cop?
Yes, you agree.
I didn't put those words in his mouth, Mrs. Hughes, I did not put those words in his mouth.
Oh,
I
yes,
can't
you
control what
did.
anybody
just said
says.
you
I
agree
can't
with it.
control what you say or anybody.
This is not open to the public, let's just move on.
Fred, I want to take disciplinary action. I'm asking you to put together the paperwork so I can take the necessary moves to take disciplinary
Come with
action.
another lawsuit.
Paperwork are we talking?
Yeah,
Disciplinary action against Public Works because we have 3 instances of,
Okay, you
Problems.
You have this in front of council now, council has heard what was said tonight. So if there's gonna be
That's not all of
disciplinary
it.
action, okay, well, then we are not done yet, I would assume, Councilman, right?
As far as I'm concerned, not even close to done.
well, then there's another issue with you. I mean, I'm just only going from my personal experiences of what I'm aware of.
You're talking, everything you've talked about so far, I know nothing about. I wasn't here then. I wasn't present that night. I wasn't
So then
a
tell
city
me,
official at the time. I have no personal experience with it at all.
so then tell me what's on your mind.
Mr. Seidelman was working on Fifth Avenue. I was driving down Fifth Avenue on my way home. I saw him working inside the compartment of the tractor, working a flail, pruning trees on the north side of the street. He was inside the compartment with the door closed. He was not wearing a hard hat, safety glasses, or a full face shield, which I thought he should be wearing. I turned around in my truck and came back, never got out of my truck, stayed in my truck. He got down out of the tractor and came over to me, and I said, "Do you have a hard hat, safety glasses, and a full face shield?" He said, "Yes, I have them with me, but I'm not wearing them because it's a rated compartment. The manufacturer says I don't need them." I didn't ask him to, I said, "Oh, okay." Because what he said made sense, it was a rational response. I was satisfied by his response. Before I could pull away, I was just about to take my foot off the brake and pull away. He said, "Why, you taking pictures of me?" I said, "No, I'm not taking pictures of you, but don't worry about what I'm doing, go back to work." He said, "That's it, I'm going home sick." I said, "Go back to work." He said, "I'm going home sick." I pulled away and went home. Didn't say anything more to him. And what I had been doing at home before I went out, I don't remember where I had been. I went out to do something, run an errand or something. I was cutting grass, so I was back at home behind my house cutting grass. About 15 minutes later, my wife comes out of the house with a state trooper. The state trooper asked me who I was, asked me for identification, told me that Peter Seidelman, working down the street, alleged that I had harassed him, alleged criminal harassment against me. When all I had done, in my official capacity as a councilman, as a council member, was ask him if he had safety glasses, a hard hat, and a full face shield. The city has no business disturbing my home that way. State trooper pulling up my driveway, come knocking on my door, upset my wife and my family. That was an action by the city of Estell Manor. Seidelman is your agent. He's doing your bidding. He was driving your tractor. Why are you doing that? He's your employee. Why are you doing that? Why are the state police on my porch? You've got 8 POSHA violations, 8 JIF recommendations, and 2 DEP violations. 2 open workers' comp claims. The guy hasn't been here a year. I ask him about safety glasses and I get the state police on my front porch. First thing I did was call you. You didn't even apologize. You couldn't have cared less how it affected my family. If you weren't even surprised, you acted like you expected it. Did you know he was doing that?
Probably.
Mr. Cerny?
You asked the councilman if he knew,
If he knew, and he said probably.
That answer speaks for itself.
Sounds like a conspiracy to me.
Because he said he felt threatened and harassed.
Because I asked him if he had safety glasses.
Well, he said that wasn't the only thing that happened.
That is absolutely the only thing that happened.
He said he received, it was a little less calm.
Not at all true. I never got out of my truck. I asked him if he had a hard hat, full face shield, and safety glasses.
Like I said, he said he felt threatened and harassed and threatened.
The way I see this, if anybody has been threatened, it's been Nelson Dilge, and you've got state police coming to your house. I happen to know your family on a personal level, Nelson, and there's no hiding of that. And I happen to know your background with your family, and quite frankly, I can't imagine that they weren't really, really excited over that.
My wife's so upset about
That's
it.
a very...
Mr. Cerny, what do you suggest as remedial action?
Well, that is going to be up to council, because that's the issue that's before council now. They've heard from Judd, they've heard the mayor's rendition of what took place, I guess it was in November or December. And now they've heard directly from you in terms of your encounter and the resulting interaction with the state police. So at a council level, is this a matter that requires disciplinary action? And if so, what is the extent of that disciplinary action in regard to Mr. Seidelman? I mean, that's clearly where.
I don't have a role in that. I'm the victim in that when it comes to that.
And there are the other issues beyond you, so
And I won't vote it.
it's collectively all of those things that council needs to look at.
Fred, I want to back up this camera for a moment, because you just said something that really jacked me pretty hard. The mayor's rendition. We've had this conversation, I don't know how many times on the phone. Is it my understanding that you are an officer of the court? Yes or no? Yes or no, Fred?
Wait a minute, I am not being cross-examined.
Are you an officer of the court?
You bet I am.
Don't distract
Okay.
from my
Because what
matter.
I'm-
And this is, you got something else going
What
on
I'm
here. Let's
asking,
start on that.
what I'm, excuse me, Fred, because what I'm asking is my information that I said correct?
I don't know that it is or not. I am not the witness.
You were not
are.
sitting here that night when this all go down?
I saw certain things, and I am not a witness.
So what is the city gonna do about the insubordination of this employee? Or is it for me to take action?
My recommendation is there needs to be a suspension. Personally speaking, we have 3 instances of violation of probation, the 90-day statutory period according to what we have in our personnel policy, and he has 3 instances of insubordination. One is a terroristic threat to an employee. Another one is an outburst, a violent outburst at this meeting over here that we could not even finish city business. And then we have a 3rd issue of going through someone's computer, and he should know better, that he should have never gone into that. You do that into the real world, guess where you're at? You're out the door.
You're letting them off the hook, Mayor.
I want to fire him.
Of course you do.
I think it's my responsibility. The man is just not doing the job to our satisfaction, and the reality is, he's violated the
But
terms
that's
of
not
his
the
probation.
basis for my concern. My concern is the safety and well-being of my family. And the fact that the city's representative put a state trooper on my porch. What's the city gonna do about
I
it?
did not put that state trooper onto your property. You know that.
If you don't take action against your employer, you sure did.
I'm
Your employee, you sure did.
demanding to take action now.
Unless you make it clear that he was acting insubordinately,
He was
or perpetrating official misconduct.
There's
He
no
was
question.
acting as your agent and with your blessing. Mr. Barbetto's already made it clear he was acting with his blessing.
I had no knowledge of this happening, Nelson, until you called me about it. So help me God above, and I swear to God on that. I had no knowledge of that whatsoever. He was not acting on my
So
behalf.
what are you gonna do about it?
I
How are
want
you
him-
gonna prove that?
I want him fired.
You're not gonna get him fired.
Okay, well, then I want a suspension. I want it put into his file that he,
I'm gonna go sit over there because it's not, I don't wanna be confused for being part of the business from here forward. You have a problem, you need to take care of your employee. Or, you've set the example for how your family should be treated. I promise.
Fred, we've got a legal situation, we've got to remedy this. There needs to be some action taken. What do you recommend?
This is a council level action. mean, I can't get to anything else.
My recommendation is we have to take disciplinary action. We could either A, terminate his employment because quite frankly, he's already had 3 violations of his probation, or 2, we could take a very lengthy suspension of his position for his role in harassment to Mr. Dilge and his family. Quite honestly, I wouldn't appreciate it none whatsoever if the state police ever came onto my property for something that I didn't do. And I have been accused in this town of doing things, and I have been cleared of it. When there have been state police reports indicating that they knew who shot a dog, and they found the shell casings. You shouldn't be saying that stuff to the city clerk, that it's better to have a DWI than to kill a dog. I never killed no dog, Larry, so don't start that crap ever again.
The one got a conviction for it was in the paper.
It was in the paper, but guess what? I got a post-conviction relief because the prosecution withheld the information. And it just so happens to be that the jerk-off prosecutor hung himself a year later.
At least we get to the.
No, what am I doing? You're making accusations about me that I'm a bad guy, and I'm not. I don't like when the state police come to anybody's house and falsely accuse. You need help.
You have
State police
have
to us,
a
maybe.
matter
Yes.
with Mr. Seidelman before you.
Right.
And you have heard certain testimony from a number of people. You have 3 council members who are eligible to vote on the disciplinary action. Councilman Dilge has stepped down. He has recused himself from this matter.
I am also recusing myself from this matter.
Should Mr. Barbato be recusing himself, Fred?
The recusal normally goes to the intention of the individual, whether the individual feels he or she can function in a neutral and nonpartisan way. So it takes place within the confines of the individual. It's not something that we impose from the outside.
Don't have a quorum anymore.
So now you have 2 council members to deal with this issue.
I think we have a situation here where it's unacceptable. It's just completely unacceptable. We had a riot that broke out here one night. We have an employee who was threatened death to you and your family. That's a terroristic threat. We have a member of our city council who had a criminal harassment complaint lodged against him in which that, in my opinion, did not occur. My personal opinion is Nelson's got every right in the world as the personnel chairman to ask an employee a question. And I feel satisfied that Mr. Dilge acted accordingly. He did no wrong. But he's got state police coming to his house, and I've got a problem with that. This is completely unacceptable, and we have to take the appropriate remedy. Quite frankly, if Mr. Dilge wants to, and I certainly hope that he don't, he's got a very classic lawsuit against the city.
Just violation of fiduciary responsibility to the city.
We have a responsibility to take action. And I'm recommending termination. I am recommending termination because guess what? We have 3 strikes within a 90-day period while he was still under probation, and if we don't do anything, then we're condoning it and it's going to continue, and we're just going to let this grow more and more legs. We have a responsibility to our residents, we have a responsibility to the city, we have a responsibility to this table. And if we don't make the difficult decision to accept our responsibility, then we don't deserve to sit here.
Well, that's true.
That's true.
I'm making a motion to terminate. Fred, guide me on this process on how it's done, because quite frankly, we do have a quorum.
You and me?
Meeting is not adjourned, we just have a couple members that stepped down from taking the discussion.
You have to have
But
somebody.
they've
second.
recused themselves. So now what? With that, I resign. The city's own the city, you morons are no good at anything. This is only gonna get worse. Thank you for that. This is only gonna get worse And listen, until the please don't call citizens me a have had moron, enough of okay? it and rise up and take don't action. call me a moron. I will be here Don't put my family in jeopardy.
I
Act
don't.
like you don't care.
I-
You still haven't apologized, same as him.
Why would
You
I
haven't
apologize?
apologized.
It wasn't my
You haven't
action.
shown any concern. You haven't asked if everybody was all right. Nothing.
Okay.
You understand? Nothing. I expect better from
Have a good
any
evening.
gentleman
Have a
than
good
what
evening.
you've done for my family.
Have a good evening.
I will be back next month with a statement for in the public.